All right, with me now is Senator Bill Hagerty, a Republican from Tennessee, who joins us from Philadelphia, not too far from where the CNN town hall with Kamala Harris will be tonight. Senator, thanks so much for being with us. Overnight, the New York Times published audio recordings from reporter Michael Smith, a conversation with General John Kelly, Donald Trump's longest-serving chief of staff. And in that, on this recording, Kelly talks about Donald Trump. He says, quote, he commented more than once that, Hitler did some good things too, Mr. Kelly said Trump told him. What good things would you say Hitler did?
Well, I wouldn't say Hitler did any good things. And I would also say this. I worked both with General Kelly and President Trump in the last administration, and it was not a good fit. General Kelly's been on record many times criticizing President Trump. Obviously, he doesn't like President Trump. I would take that with a grain of salt, just as I would some of the other things that have been reported that have been debunked consistently along these lines.
Well, let's
I do
play
say
it.
this as well.
Hang on, Senator.
Compare President Trump to Hitler is dangerous.
Talk to J.D. Vance. Bring that up with J.D. Vance, who apparently said that in a text message, which he doesn't deny, some years ago. But I do want to play some of this recording between Michael Schmidt and John Kelly. Listen.
He commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too. And of course, if you know history, again, I think he's lacking in that. But if you know what Hitler was all about, it'd be pretty hard to make an argument that he did anything good.
Again, you worked for Donald Trump during the Trump administration. Do you have any idea what Trump could be praising about Adolf Hitler?
Well, I'm not agreeing that Trump is praising Adolf Hitler, because all you have are the comments from General Kelly, again, who did not mix with President Trump, who did not get along with President Trump, and who's been consistently on the record against President Trump. I'll say this. I did serve with President Trump as U.S. ambassador to Japan. We have more U.S. military stationed there in Japan than any place else in the world overseas. President Trump came to visit me 3 times. We always met with our military there, and I never saw anything but the utmost respect, both President Trump's respect for our military and their love and respect for him. That's what I know.
John Kelly, retired 4-star Marine general. He was chief of staff and Secretary of Homeland Security while you were ambassador to Japan. Did he ever lie to you about anything?
I never am aware of John Kelly lying to me about anything, no.
All right, so why doubt what he is now saying on the record out loud about these conversations?
Because it's wholly inconsistent with my experience with President Trump. I also have reason to doubt it because there have been articles published about losers and the things that were supposedly said in Normandy. I called the ambassador right away. Again, these are old stories that are being drug up, of course, within 2 weeks of the election. But when I called the ambassador, she said absolutely not true, what was attributed to John Kelly. 20 other staffers said that was the case as well. I think this is being brought up at a time to divert and deflect. Here's the story. American people right now need to be asking themselves a very basic question. Are they better off today than they were when President Trump was in office? Kamala Harris is claiming all these things that she might be able to do, yet she's done none of them for the past 3.5 years. What we've got is a situation where Kamala Harris can't find any place where she would differ from Joe Biden. 72% of Americans think that this country is on the wrong track. All they have to do is look back to the time when President Trump was in office. That debunks these claims. President Trump, our economy working, people respected us, nations respected us. We had people better off in every demographic group. And I think that's why Americans are seeing President Trump's polls move forward, and I think that's why we see these desperate things coming out here at the last minute again within the last 2 weeks, citing something from the deep past. It's irrelevant at this point. Americans need to know, will they be better off? 72% of Americans say we're on the wrong track right now. I think they're ready for change.
Not disputing your numbers on the wrong track. I will say, depending on the economic metrics you use, unemployment, GDP, things like that over time, not necessarily better in the Trump administration than this.
Real wages are what I think most people care about. Real wages is what they care about, and they were better off.
You're picking one number. You said under every metric with any demographic group, that's demonstrably false. All I'm saying is there are some metrics yes, some metrics no. And when you say that the economic record debunks the claim or debunks the idea that Donald Trump praised Hitler, I'm not sure that any of the two things are related at all. You've been rumored as a possible cabinet secretary.
No, his record as commander-in-chief debunks that in my mind. His record
Why?
as commander-in-chief does, because
Why?
he actually did have us in a position where there were no wars. You have Joe Biden as commander-in-chief. What did he do? He and Kamala Harris, the last in the room, made a terrible decision in Afghanistan that led to the death of 13 service members, very personal to me. One of them was Ryan Knaus, a Tennessean. I had to call Ryan's parents and tell him what happened. You think about it, Joe Biden is there at the return of remains at Dover. He doesn't even have time for them. He's looking at his watch. And when he's in debate, he tells the world that no military man or woman died under his watch. He just forgot about the 13 that died on his watch. That's presidential disrespect. I don't see that coming up. Instead, what you have are claims that cannot be verified from someone that obviously doesn't like President Trump and was fired by President Trump. So I think you need to consider the source. I certainly am.
Senator, again, I don't think that anyone is questioning the sympathy or the remorse for the families of those who died in Afghanistan. That has nothing to do with the claims on the record from Senator John Kelly, who also lost a son in Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with the claims he is making on the record out loud that Donald Trump praised Hitler to him. Now, if you're going to say you don't believe them, then John Kelly would have to be lying. And you just told me that you don't have any reason to think that John Kelly lied to you about anything.
He and I never had conversations like this, and John Kelly wouldn't have a reason to be disgruntled with me because I didn't fire him. President Trump did. I have every reason to doubt this, though, because it's inconsistent with my experience with President Trump. President Trump is a patriot. He loves this country. And in no way would Hitler be an image or a likeness that he would want to follow in any way. He's certainly not a role model. And this somehow suggests that's the case, and I just don't buy it, not one bit.
Has Donald Trump ever praised strongmen before you, the likes of Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin?
Look, I've actually seen Donald Trump in the room with Vladimir Putin and with Xi Jinping, with Modi, with Abe. He's able to hold his own. I certainly don't think Kamala Harris could do that. Donald Trump knows how to negotiate. He knows how to deal with world leaders, and he can deal from a position of strength. That's what Americans need right now. That's what Americans should be asking themselves this close to the election, is who will represent our nation, who will put us back in a posture of strength. Donald Trump clearly can do that because he's done it before under his watch. We had no major wars break out. As soon as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came back into office, we saw the exact opposite. We've got hot wars now in the Middle East. You see what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. No more tension than we haven't seen the level of tension in the Far East that's going on right now in years. It's a very bad situation that's occurred over the past 3.5 years. Kamala Harris could have done something about it if she were serious. Obviously, she didn't. And I think the American public can see right through it.
All right, Senator Bill Hagerty, Republican from Tennessee, thanks for being with us this morning. Appreciate your time,
Thank you for having me.